And welcome back to another episode of the Penscast recap segment. Today is Saturday, October the 14th, and we are recapping two games this evening. We first are going to go with the Friday night game against the Washington Capitals, and then we'll jump into the um, tonight's game, the Saturday game against the Calgary Flames back in Pittsburgh. But before we get started, I'm going to welcome Snail in here tonight. He will be joining me. And Snail, I think overall, we record this episode feeling pretty darn good about what we saw from the Penguins the last 24 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. A major redemption and bounce back from that first game against Chicago. This is, the last 2 days. This is the team that I think that Dubas and Sullivan had in mind, right? We're kind of seeing this relentless forecheck offense is the best defense for this team. Uh, Other teams can't score if you're busy filling up the net, so. I feel like we're kind of seeing like exactly what Dubas and Sullivan had meant to construct in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I agree. And if I'm not moving on your screen, it's because something must be funky with my camera at the moment, but hopefully you can still hear me here. Um, so we'll start with the Capitals game, like I mentioned. And first period, nothing going for either team, 0-0. I only got to see the extended highlights from this hockey game, so I didn't get to see all the ins and outs of each period of play. But second period, Pens break the ice, get on the board. We have Evgeny Malkin scoring at 4:07 with assists from Ricard Raquel and Eric Carlson. Less than 2 minutes later, this power play that we talked about all off season, finally gets on the board. It is Sidney Crosby, his second goal of the season. This one coming from Jake Gensel and Evgeny Malkin. And then later in the second period, again, the power play coming through. And again, with his third goal in the first two games of the season, it was Sidney Crosby, again assisted by Evgeny Malkin and Jake Gensel. So after two periods of play, the score reads 3, Pittsburgh, nothing, Washington. And again, for the second time in as many games this season, the Penguins enter the third period with a lead in hand, except this time they do not blow it. And in fact, they extend it, though it was late in the period when the game was pretty much already away. The Penguins locked down in this third period. They played a complete hockey game, kind of harkening back to the Stanley Cup days. We have Riley Smith getting a goal late in the third period, his first as a Pittsburgh Penguin. It is assisted by Evgeny Malkin. Evgeny Malkin, his third assist of the evening. His 3 points led the team in the game. And Riley Smith, who is snake bitten really through two games, and especially in this game, gets the goal to make it 4-0 and set the final. And when the horn blows, Tristan Jarry, his first shutout of the season. And overall, I think, Snell, that Penguins fans walked away from this game satisfied in about every aspect.
Yeah, totally. Seeing Jari blank the Caps, that's one of the bigger questions coming into this season is Jari and hell of a game against the Capitals. I wanted to note the Capitals. It was their home opener, their season opener actually. First game for new head coach Spencer Carberry, I believe his name is. Um, and The Penguins really soiled that. The Caps looked slow. I got to say they looked slow. They was sloppy. Sometimes you get that on a first game. Not too much to read into. Not going to overreact on them, but Capitals. This is a team also that a lot of questions for this team. We all know Ovechkin is chasing down Gretzky, and it kind of seems that this is a team where should they be should they be rebuilding and tanking? Probably a lot of similar questions like much like the Penguins, but seems like they're going for it. They're going to try to get Ovi Gretter's record. They're a competitive team. They've still got Wilson, they've got Oshie, they've got Backstrom, Carlson on the blue line. They Darcy Kemper was supposed to start, but I think he had a child, or his wife had a child that night. So it was Charlie Lindgren backing him up. So maybe Penn's lucked out a bit and got a more of a green goaltender for this game. But nonetheless, Caps couldn't get anything going. Gino is possessed. I think we'll get into him this game as well, but he's got some hop to his game right off the bat. He looks hungry. He does not look like a 37 or a 36-year-old, however old he is. Especially someone coming off of that heavy knee surgery. Rust is looking good. It's good to see Sid get on the board with 2 power play goals. Gensel getting on the board with a goal and an assist too. It's relieving to see him. We all know he's coming back a little bit early from that ankle surgery. It's good to see him jump right back in and seem like he's not really missing a beat. Riley Smith getting his first one is huge. I've wondered about how the chemistry will work with Gino and him on that second line. Gino with a unbelievable pocket pick and then just dishes it right up to Riley Smith and he snipes one. So that was a great game. I love seeing the Pens beat the Caps and in the manner that they did. I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. This is like how Dubas and Sullivan like drew this team up to play. Relentless forecheck, relentless offense, quick snaps out of their own zone. I'll digress and pass it back to you. But overall, yeah, a lot to walk away from happy as a Pens fan after that game against the Capitals yesterday.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I only got to see the extended highlights because I was covering high school football, but I was following along as the game went along. And first period, kind of even, but at the end of the day, I mean, the Capitals had 19 shots in the period, and even the highlights I saw, I know both of the Penguins and Capitals are kind of always grouped together as kind of like they're on the back end of this run of success they've had, but it feels like the Penguins are still maybe a tier or two above what the Capitals are right now. It feels like the Capitals are um, in a position where at some point this season, they're going to be okay. Let's just focus on getting Obi his record, or at least progressing toward. He's not going to get there this year. Progressing toward that record, and they could be seeing fire sale time come trade deadline, if not a little bit sooner than that. Um, it just seems like they have definitely fallen off quicker than the Capitals. And while there was so much consternation about the Penguins missing the playoffs last year, the Capitals missed it. They were well out of it way earlier than the Penguins were. They kind of really it just fell off last year, and it feels like if this is a sign of things to come this year, it's going to be a long season in Washington. One thing I wanted to point on was Tristan Jarry. I mean, only 19 shots, but hey, you got to stop them when they come. So I think overall you have to be happy with that. I saw on the highlights there was, I mean, not many Capitals highlights last night, but I feel like they did have one, I believe, in the first period. A nice sneaky play by John Carlson down near the goal line. He tried to sneak one over the shoulder of Tristan Jarry, but he had everything locked down. And then, of course, the Ovechkin breakaway in the second period. The announcers even said, like, Ovechkin, the goalies know he's not going to try to deke or make a move. He's going to shoot. And he went for the 5-hole, and it was open, but Jari closed that door and denied him his first goal of the season. So I think overall, after the way things fell apart on Tuesday night, the Penguins played a complete hockey game. And that's really what, to me, with the big takeaway um, needs to be is that a great bounce back. Your big scorers got goals. Erik Karlsson gets his first point as a Penguin. Crosby is through these first 2 games has been otherworldly. I was talking to someone last night, and I said Crosby's going for 100. He saw all this talk in the offseason about does he have one more 100-point season in him? He probably bullet boarded or probably um, bullet board material, that material all off season. The doubters and Crosby's going for 100. 3 goals in 2 games. I mean, hey, can Crosby get 40 goals? I mean, I don't see why Crosby can't get 40 goals. And I think another big thing out of all this is remember when we figured that Jake Ensel wasn't going to play until like maybe the last week of October? Jake Ensel surprises everyone, comes back. He's ready for opening night. And Jake Ensel's been a terror through at least these first 2 games. And when we talk about Calgary, you're going to see the same thing. Jake Ensel's been fantastic.
He really has. Another, yeah. After these last few games here, could Gino get 100 points? Could we see Gino eclipse 100? Like he looks like he is bound and determined. One thing I've been noticing about these last couple of games, which has been super pleasing to me personally, but I think Pens fans in general, is everyone's shooting the puck more. Like that first game, a
Yeah, I
lot
agree.
of that same shit with the passing, overpassing. These last couple of games, I've been noticing Raquel, it's on and off his stick so quick. He's just putting pucks on net, trying to make some chaos in front of whoever the goaltender is. He's really looking like he's in shape, and he's got a burr in his saddle, man. So yeah, it's been a relief to see Sid's shooting the puck. I think Sid took this last offseason personally. He seems like he has a burr in his saddle as well, and like you said, bulletin board material, man. He might have. Could we see a 100 point season from Gino and Sid? I mean, they're coming out of the gates hot. Gino has. It's been 3 games. He's got 6 points, 2 goals, and 4 assists. That's just. I mean, that's prime Gino numbers, man.
Yeah, and I didn't say Malkin like he he was good last season, but he right now he looked better than even last season. He just looks like again, last year he had a full season. Last year he had a full off season, but maybe a full year removed from that, almost 2 years removed from that knee surgery. Now is really what he needed. I mean, he had that knee surgery at what 35, 36 years old. Like, I mean, if a norm like a great, he's an athlete in tremendous shape, but he's not 25 anymore. Whenever he had that first knee surgery when he tore his ACL back when he was much younger, so he looks just absolutely tremendous. I felt like just the Washington game, it was a good palate cleanser from the distaste of the Chicago game. You always love beating the Capitals too, and it just feels like I know it's only one game, it's only the second game of the year, the first for the Capitals, but right now it feels like the Penguins are at least a step or two better than the Washington Capitals, and it feels like um, while both franchises are on the back end of this success, it just feels like that the Penguins are approaching that end line a little bit slower. So, yeah, so the Penguins get that
Totally.
victory. They move. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so the Penguins get that victory, move to 1-1-0 on the season, and no time to really celebrate because well, they were right back in Pittsburgh this evening, which is Saturday, October 14th, for a game against the Calgary Flames. The Flames annual visit to Pittsburgh and PPG Paints Arena, and we'll go over the scoring here real quick. The game ended in a 5-2 victory for the Penguins. Wasn't easy and wasn't always pretty, that's for sure, but much like Friday night, no goal scoring for either side in the first period, but and almost got through the whole second period without any goal scoring as well. But Matt Coronado scores his first career NHL goal, a power play goal at 18:22 of the second period. And through 40 minutes, the Penguins looked like absolute mud. They looked exactly like a team who played the night before. Jacob Markstrom was perfect through 2 periods. Andy Nedeljkovic was good, but this one gets by him. But you can't. I mean, it's a power play goal and just a nice shot by Coronado. So can't put too much on Nedeljkovic there. And they enter the third period. You wonder if the Penguins can get back in it. Well, guess what? 18 seconds into the period, Brian Rust gets his second of the season from Letang and Gensel, and all of a sudden it is 1-1. You think, okay, maybe we can get some momentum out of this, and did they ever? Because for just less than 30 seconds later, the Penguins are in the lead. Riley Smith, his second in as many games, assist from a name we mentioned a lot already on this episode, Evgeny Malkin and Ricard Raquel. That second line is cooking right now, so it's 2-1 Penguins. At the 5:50 mark of the third period, the Penguins extend that lead. They double it. It is 3-1. And guess who? His first goal of the season, Jake Gensel from Chris Letang and Sidney Crosby. And that's actually Crosby's first assist of the season. And then at 14-14, you don't want the Penguins to let up. And they don't. They have this third period lead again. And it is Evgeny Malkin, his second of the season. An assist from one, Riley Smith, who's been on a tear and been really well since coming over. The Flames do pull one back. Jonathan Huberdeau scores his first of the year at 16:05. And if you had any worries, Brian Rust put them to bed at 19:38 with an empty netter for his second goal of the game, third of the season, assisted by Jake Ensel, who, believe it or not now, has 5 assists through the first 3 games of this season. The Penguins are victorious 5-2. And Snail, ugly start, not great. Looked like a team that definitely played last night, but they hang on enough. They do give up the first goal, but they come out pants on fire in the third, and they score 4 unanswered to open the third, 5 total with the empty netter, and get the big dub and sweep the weekend back to back.
Yep, you couldn't have really. You couldn't have drawn it up any better, just considering the Penguins have historically been a really shitty third period team, and it was quite the opposite in that. And you'll take that any day of the week, right? Over soiling themselves in the third period as they've been known to do in the last couple of years. So Nedeljkovic looked really good. I'd been waiting to, this is a big question coming in. Backup goalie, we said goodbye to Casey DeSmith. Nedeljkovic was at one point a starter, and he was in a bad team in Detroit. Played, I think, 25 games in the AHL last year, looking to get his NHL career kind of jump started again here in Pitt. And solid first outing for him. I think that goal, I think it was that Coronado shot was really good. That was just a slick feed from Lindholm, and Coronado, first round pick. He's got a first round pick shot. Bad angle, good goal. That second goal though was I don't really know what Jake Gensel was doing there and what Letang was doing. That was kind of, I don't really put two. That's a super classic example of the team just not playing that great in front of him. But they were up. It's a hiccup. Not much Ned could do. So not gonna pick apart his game too much. He stopped the pucks that he needed to stop. A couple big saves. Another guy I wanted to bring up was Rust. Rust is a guy coming into this season that had we all had a little bit of a question mark next to his name. Quite a big drop last year in play. Super inconsistent, and he's typically been known as quite a consistent guy up on the first line with Sid and Jake. And he's someone that's come out of the gates hot, a couple goals. Very noticeable out there. He's playing with tenacity, speed, lots of shots on net, creating chances. So as a Pens fan, you got to be happy to see the start that Russ had so far.
Yeah, I've mentioned on the podcast before, I'm a huge Brian Huss homer. Going back to when he was just a scrappy, depth player during the cup runs. I've been a huge Brian Rust homer for years now, and got a little worried last season. Just didn't seem like he had all the juice, but he's had every bit of the juice to start this season. 3 goals in 2 games. One's an empty netter, but hey, somebody's got to score them. And the Penguins have historically had trouble with that at times, missing open nets and maybe making it a little more interesting than need be. But he gets it, takes any question. I mean, there was only 20 seconds left in the game at that point, but hey, pad them stats when you can. It's not easy to score in the NHL. I just think another great showing, especially from the top 6. The bottom 6, the depth, didn't score, but they really helped lock it down in the third period. They really bounced back from a slow start to this game. And you mentioned Nedeljkovic. Man, if you're a backup and you're only giving up 2 goals when you're playing, you're going to win a heck of a lot of hockey games for whoever you're playing for. And the Penguins have to be happy with the performance that he put in this evening. Again, power play, no success, but the penalty kill only gives up 1, and it was just a very sick shot by Matt Coronado. So credit to him there. Congratulations on scoring your first NHL goal, kid. Hopefully many more for the Flames up there. But, I mean, man, after the way that season started, it's winning back-to-backs is tough. This is the last back-to-back for actually the rest of this month. So this is the only one they have to go through this month. Plenty of rest upcoming here, but love to be 2-1-0 right now. A very nice bounce back to start the season, and now you kind of have momentum, and you're kind of feeling on track a little bit more than you were after the Chicago game, mostly because the Chicago game brought back so many just putrid memories of last season. This kind of feels more like the Penguins that we want to see and that we expect to see. And if they're playing like this, they're going to win a lot of hockey games going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. After this weekend, yeah, being 2-1-0, you'll take that any day. And the one thing I feel like we walk away from with this these last two wins is after that first game with Chicago, it was just a solemn reminder of where the team was at the end of last year, and that
Yeah.
just creeping anxiety every game, whether they had a lead or not, where just the third period was just there was no way they were going to pull out a win, even if they were up by a goal or two. And these last two games, there has been not even an inkling of that. It's just been sound structure in front of whoever's in goal. It's been tenacity and dogs on the puck. The third and fourth line have looked good. I want to complain about Carter, but I'm not going to. I just think that there's so many players that could add a little bit more to that fourth line right wing spot than Carter. He's just kind of floating around out there. But I said I wouldn't do it. Yeah, just two solid games. Even when things weren't going the Penguins way through two today, third period. That's what you want to see. I mean, the stars getting it done, the depth doing their jobs, the goaltender stopping pucks. It's just a recipe for winning.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. We need to save the complaining for when there's more to complain about. I guess if we're nitpicking at all, that's definitely one of uh, the big just kind of blemishes in this lineup right now. And I agree with the premise that I think you mentioned it on a mailbag or earlier episode, basically that if you look at some of the guys that were on the bubble of making this roster that are now playing down um, in Wilkes-Barre, your Vinny Hinostrosas, your Radim Zahornas. I mean, that's quite clearly a spot for one of them two guys that's being taken up that who looked ex- extremely good in preseason play. And uh, again, that's the one mistake Ron Hextall made that um, Kyle Dubas could not fix, but his hands were tied in that situation. I mean, he had nothing. He had a no movement clause. You can't buy him out because it doesn't. It literally saved like $100,000 or something like that. It was like not even worth it to saddle yourself with that for the next 2 or 3 seasons. So, yeah, I guess I'll do a little more than complaining because it's still frustrating to talk about. But I definitely agree with you that he's soaking up a valuable roster spot that could be used for a much younger, more efficient player.
Yeah, just someone that provides a little bit more than what I see from him. He just goes down the right wing and kind of floats down, risks a wrist shot on net. Maybe it probably misses, and then he doesn't have the speed to go after his own puck. He's just not really a defensively savvy guy. He can take faceoffs, I guess. Last year he proved he could, he was pretty effective in the faceoff, but he's not really getting that opportunity right now with the depth at center that they got. It's just I'd take an undersized guy like Vinny Hinostroza or just somebody Zahorna playing on his offhand even. I don't know, but that's nitpicking, and it's just something I noticed though these last couple games, and I'm someone who typically tries to. I haven't been the biggest like Carter hater because I just remember what he did for this team when we first acquired him. He was on fire and sick, but yeah, just another observation through 3 games now that I thought was maybe worth bringing up. So Carter, we'll have our eyes on you. Hopefully you, I don't know, digress in age
Yeah,
somehow magically, but
yeah.
we know that won't happen. So anyways, yeah, through 3 games, range of emotions, but we're coming out of this weekend feeling good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's all positive vibes coming out of the weekend, and they've kind of forgot about the Chicago game now and moved on. But before we wrap up here, let's just take a quick look at the coming week here for the Penguins. Um, Not much to really look forward to this week. At least not. I mean, starting now, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Penguins are off. but they will hit the road for a pair starting on Wednesday night um, with a game against the Detroit Red Wings. Again, the Red Wings, we're not quite sure what the vibes are with the Red Wings yet, but if it goes like they are hoping, it's going to be a team that could be fighting for a wild card spot, meaning these points are valuable even this early in the season. So heading up to Detroit for that one on Wednesday night. That game um, it starts at 7:30 Eastern time, and then Saturday they head to St. Louis for a meeting with the St. Louis Blues. The Penguins' annual trip to St. Louis, and I think if the Blues obviously not a favored playoff team, but again, the Western Conference teams are always interesting when you don't see them all the time. So just a 2-game week for the Penguins at Detroit, at St. Louis, but hey, good opportunities to keep stacking wins.
That's right. Yeah, Detroit. This is a team that's going to be gunning for one of the few playoff spots available that probably aren't locks, and it's important to get. It's early in the year, and we know how last year ended, so it's important to bank those points early and get the 2 points and get out of there without too much fuss. And then St. Louis. Going to go see our old pal Kasperi Kapanen down there, and
Yeah.
they're a heavy team. They play heavy, and not. I don't think that fans in St. Louis probably think differently, but I don't think they're a playoff team. But again, a heavy team, one of those Western teams that can take a chunk out of you. I don't see why they should. Binnington's there's probably going to be their starting goaltender. They've got Thomas and Kyrou on their first line. I think they got that Kevin Hayes, Kapanen, Nick Ritchie. They've got some players, but again, with the way that let's hope the Penguins keep rolling. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to walk away from both of these places without 2 points. Let's be honest.
Absolutely agree with that. And again, when they go into St. Louis, you might as well know you have to score 2 goals because you just know Kasperi Kapanen scoring a goal on Saturday night against the Penguins is a little payback for how things ended. But all the best to him. And yeah, St. Louis, obviously both of these teams, especially Detroit, do have some exciting young players, even if they're not going to be world beaters. So there is some talent and some excitement, and they're going to be looking to they're going to be playing just as hard as the Penguins are, especially this early in the season when, as we showed last year, literally every point matters. And if these two teams want to be a bubble team, they're going to just get every point you can, and it should be exciting. But a couple of days off to rest up those old bodies in Pittsburgh after a back to back set. But Snell, do you got anything else to add before we wrap this up?
Nope. I think I got everything off my chest.
All right, guys. So, again, Penguins take 2 out of 2 this weekend. Get back in the win column for the first time this year. We will be back with you next week. We will have mailbag, as always, 1 part or 2 parts, depending on how many questions Brian decides to submit this week. So, Garrett is once again. I actually shipped him to Snail's house this week to clean his. He's actually installing Snail a Pittsburgh toilet in his bathroom, in his basement out in Seattle. So he will be back with us next week. If you look forward to seeing him, he will be back.
He's in his
That's all.
box right now. I got to let him out for dinner.
Oh yeah, I guess it is only 7:30 there. Yeah, you better get him some food so he doesn't perish, and but you can ship
Yeah.
him back, and we'll get him back for Monday. But as for Snail, I'm Robbie. Great weekend for the Pens. Let's hope it keeps rolling. We'll see you guys again next week. Thanks again.